Now we are going to have a workshop on Vipassana. I will be giving introduction about the experts. Gandlar Dr. Nirmala, MD DGO, University of Pune, private consulting practice for 32 years, now retired. Served with Bharatiya Samaj Seva for 25 years, looking after unwed mothers. Practicing Vipassana meditation since 1993 and presently serving in the capacity as a teacher in the tradition of Sayagyi Yuba Khin as taught by Sri S.N. Goenka. Serves as coordinator of children's and teenagers courses worldwide in the above tradition. Our next expert is Gandlar Dr. Hamir, MD DCH, University of Bombay, private consulting practice for 32 years, now retired, served with Maher NGO looking after destitute women, orphan children, mentally disturbed destitutes, and senior citizens without home. Served as its founder, president, and medical consultant for many years. Practicing Vipassana meditation since 1995 and presently serving in the capacity as a teacher in the tradition of Sayagyi Yuba Khin as taught by Sri S.N. Goenka.
Good evening and namaste everybody. At the onset, I would like to thank the organizers of the 8th International Yoga Conference at Kaivaladham for having given us the opportunity to present to you an introduction to Vipassana meditation and what Vipassana meditation is doing also for the process of education. So this slideshow will be in two parts. We took up this initial one to just introduce, because many people don't know what Vipassana is, or they just know the name Vipassana. So for the first few slides, we will be introducing what exactly is Vipassana meditation, and the second half will be what we are doing for children, for teenagers in the process of education. So Vipassana is a logical process of mental purification through self-observation. We shall be giving you more details as we go through this presentation. Now today, most people coming to Vipassana are not coming for its spiritual requirement. They come because they are in stress. Large number of students attending our courses are now from the software sector and in industry. They seem to have a very troubled life, and then at certain stage they realize that they need to stop and reflect on what they are doing, and Vipassana course, a 10-day course of Vipassana, gives them a perfect platform for them to realize and contemplate what is happening with their life. So stress is in everyday life. And what is the major cause of stress? As most of you realize, the major cause of stress is our habit pattern. Our getting angry, our being greedy, our what you call short-tempered behavior. All this we realize, but yet nothing is in our control. It just shoots off like a domino effect. So moment the incident occurs, you have triggered off and behaved in that particular way, which you tend to regret later. When you settle down and try to think of that incident, you realize, I shouldn't have behaved that way. I shouldn't have talked that way. I shouldn't have what you call scolded somebody that way. But then it's too late. The deed has been already done. So this is where we presume Vipassana will help you. So we want to bring about a change. Hence we seek a logical, non-sectarian solution. You see, everywhere people offer you sectarian solutions. They offer you various religions. But it can't be a common platform for everybody. For example, if you tell somebody, when you get angry, start reciting Om. Why will the Muslim do that? Similarly, different religions have some sort of a word which they can announce, so the other people will not accept that. So we wanted to prepare a uniform, non-sectarian platform so that people are able to do Vipassana without being aligned to any religion. So Vipassana meditation is one such path which helps you to bring about a change in a non-sectarian way. It's an ancient meditation technique more than 2,500 years old. Now this technique is not like any of the ones that have recently, what you call, started showing up. So this is the age-old technique with which the Buddha attained enlightenment. So it stood its test of the time over 2,500 years. Now in this tradition, to learn Vipassana, it is necessary to take a 10-day residential course under the guidance of a qualified teacher. There is no shortcut to this. So all those who feel, how am I going to give 10 days of my life? How am I going to spare time? How am I going to get leave? Remember that today we have a mind and body, and that's what forms you. And suppose somebody gets a heart attack. Suppose somebody has a major illness. Aren't you put down the bed? The doctor says no going to work. Suppose somebody gets a myocardial. He's told for a month you are at home. 15 days in the hospital, another 15 days at home. Does your mind rebel at that time? You take the advice seriously. Vipassana is looking at the mind part of it all. Everybody's mind is diseased because it behaves in a way which that person doesn't want it to. So you have to give the mind a certain rest. So the 10-day Vipassana course is kind of admitting yourself to a mental hospital. And in these 10 days, you are able to service your mind, look at yourself, and we expect that's something which most people have never done. Most of the time we are extroverted. Moment we have a few seconds to think about ourselves, we are switched on the TV, we are chatting with somebody, we are going out, we are eating something, we are extroverting all the while. So there is no time to go within, take the journey within and look at yourself. The 10-day Vipassana course offers you one such platform. So under the guidance of a qualified teacher is very essential, because as you meditate through the 10 days, certain complexes come up. The biggest complex that comes up is you now start looking at yourself. What a character you are, which you have never done before. And then that frightens you. It frightens many people. Oh, this is how I am. And there is nobody to reflect it to. Though you can't talk to your friend who's next door, or you can't talk to your wife who's come also on the course. You can't talk to anybody. So you have to look at yourself in silence. And that's one of the most frightening things to do. And that's why you need a teacher sitting across who will calm you down and say, this will also pass. But that's where a teacher is essential. Now, a little information about the Vipassana course, because many people are very keen to know what you all do there in 10 days. So here is it. For the duration of the 10-day retreat, you are put in a restricted site. You cannot leave that center. Whatever work you have to drop it outside and come. And those 10 days, you are like in a prison. You have no contact with the outside world. Your biggest possession and your biggest attachment is taken away from you. That's your mobile phone. So that is first deposited. The moment you come in, detach your mobile phone is locked away. And all other things, no contact with the outside. If there is an emergency at home, they contact the center number, and then the teacher decides, after talking to the person who's ringing up, whether the student is to be disturbed on this course or not. Of course, we contact you during an emergency, but that is in an eventuality so. So during this course, we have no contact with the outside world, means no contact. See, we shut off all contacts in terms of phone, as well as letter writing, or for that matter, reading the newspaper. So one refrains from reading, writing, and suspends all religious practices and other disciplines. So we stop all religious practices. We have courses in Iran, we have courses in the Gulf, and we do not allow namaz on the course. So that is a condition that you have to do before you come for the course. If you have to say prayer so many times a day and you have to do it, then we do not give you permission on the course. So this is a very strict rule. Why do we do that? We do that because if you carry on your multipathies, this, a prayer, wearing some sort of mala, doing this, doing that, and also doing a Vipassana course, at the end of 10 days, what will you give credit for? We want you to assess a Vipassana course on its own merits. We do not want it to be mixed with other experiences. So tomorrow you will say, I was wearing this taweez, which has been given to me by my guru. It protects me, and I am doing a Vipassana course, but this is the cause of my happiness and my peace. No, we don't want that to happen. We make you remove that taweez. We make you remove anything that you are dependent on. See, the entire teaching of the Buddha is you have to be independent. Independent of everything. All powers are to be dealing from you, and you are your own person who's going to progress and liberate yourself. So that is the basis of the teaching. So religious practices are a strictly no-no. One follows a demanding schedule of about 10 hours of sitting meditation. Now this is not a 10 hours of continuous sitting meditation. So don't get scared. You have breaks. You have breaks, and not more than an hour. Even then you can move. You can change your posture if it's very painful. So we are not here to torture you. We want you to meditate. Vipassana is not a sitting exercise. Again I repeat, Vipassana is not an exercise of endurance. It's, yes, endurance of the mind, but not of your physical body. Now this is another thing which many people come to you. We observe silence, not communicating with fellow students. Many people say, I can't keep quiet for a few moments. I continuously have to talk. Or I am that type of a communicative personality. Now here, it comes very naturally. Because nobody else is there to talk with you. You may be having a single room, or you may be sharing a room. But the person next to you is not going to talk with you. That's the rule of the course. Moment you are caught talking, you are ticked off. And if you keep breaking that rule, you will have to leave the course, because you will be disturbing everybody else. So now why do we have this silence? Because we want you to take the journey within. The moment you talk, you have extroverted. The moment you talk, the first thing you're going to ask the person next door, have you experienced such and such a thing? And that person says, wow, I'm in bliss. I've got this current flowing through me. Then you start sitting your next meditation. I didn't get this current. And that's the end of your meditation. So never share notes. You are yourself in the 10 days. The first step of the training is to take 5 precepts. Now everybody is familiar with the precepts. This is the core of all religious practices. You know that it's called Yam Niyam. So in Buddhism it's called the Shila. So the 5 precepts, like you will not kill, you will not steal, no lying, no use of intoxicants, and no sexual misconduct. So during these 5 days, you are observing these things very strictly. And we help you observe this. How do we help you? We have got segregation of sexes. So the male and female students are separated. And in many centers, they have separate courses. Killing and stealing, we encourage people not even to kill mosquitoes. So we give you mosquito nets, we give you repellents. Stealing is out of question because most of your valuables are already locked in. As I said, your mobile phone, your valuables, cash, and we tell you all, especially the ladies, not to come with any jewelry. And most of the people come very, very simple clothes and hardly any possessions. So everything is locked away and we give it to you on the 10th day. So you are not having anything valuable with you. So most Vipassana centers don't have their doors locked. Now use of intoxicants is absolutely a no-no. If it happens on the course, you're sent away. And sexual misconduct is obviously also severely adhered to. The keeping of the precepts along with the first 3.5 days of the 10-day course is called Anapana meditation. Anapana is a Pali word. That's the language of the Buddha. It means objectively observing the natural breath. Natural breath is what all of you are breathing now. Most of you are not aware of your breath. All you have to do is to be aware that you're breathing. It's not a breathing exercise. Is it very clear? It's a very difficult thing to do. Moment your mind goes on the breath, the third breath the mind has gone off. Extremely difficult thing to do, and we expect you to try to keep your mind on the natural breath for as long as possible. The first 3.5 days you soon realize what a monkey mind you have. Moment you tell it to be on the breath, and 2-3 breaths are over, the mind has gone off to your home, it's gone off to the next dinner, it's gone off to the next lunch, what your friend is doing, what what's happening outside, everything else is gone off too. But then you realize after some time, oh, I've come here on a Vipassana course, I'm supposed to be observing my breath. So this happens thousands of times on a course. In those 3.5 days, the mind is going away, you're bringing it back, going away, bringing it back. But the bottom line is bring it back peacefully without getting frustrated, bored and angry. That's the thing you have to do. And this bringing the mind back all the while to the natural breath slowly starts controlling your unruly, wandering mind and makes it calm down and disciplined. Now this is just an exercise like any yogic exercise. If you do a yoga course for a few days, say a 7-day workshop here, 7-day course here in Kaivaladham, you go home and don't practice, what happens? You're back to square zero. The same thing happens in Vipassana. Now people do, you did a 10-day Vipassana course, the wife tells the husband, you did a 10-day Vipassana course, but you seem to be the same. He's going to be, in 10 days, he's not going to become a Buddha. But he's got to meditate daily. And that's what we tell the student. This is just the outline of meditation. It's not going to bring about a change immediately. So you have to go home and meditate. Like you have to go home and continue your yoga practice. And that's how you're going to become flexible. Similarly here. Now Anapana is keeping the mind on the natural breath. And what is the natural breath? The breath that goes in and the breath that comes out. So you have to keep an continuous, be aware, not control. We all are control freaks. We want to control everything that we do, including the breath. The moment we tell you to watch the breath, you start controlling the breath. A very clear definition has to be made. So you're just watching, like as though, suppose if I tell you to watch somebody else breathing. So you watch that person, his chest rises, falls, or his nasals will flare. That's how you have to watch your own body. A very difficult thing to do. So what does this keeping the mind on the natural breath finally do? It helps you focus on your work. You do about 2-3 minutes before you have an important task. Like suppose now I had to give this talk. So for about a few minutes, I was on my natural breath. And so it calms you down. You're not very excited. So, and especially for examinations, for interviews, this is the best thing to do. Focus on your breath and you finally start focusing on your work. It helps you to keep alert and most important, it keeps you in the present moment. The mind being in the present moment is a relaxation of the mind. What happens most of the time? Our mind is jumping from past to, have you realized that? There are only 2 parameters the mind jumps, from past to future, future to past. Somebody did this to me, and for that I'm going to do that to him. Then again somebody did this to me, or this happened, so I'm going to do that. So the mind is jumping from past to future, past to future. And that is an exercise for the mind. It's like doing continuous skipping. The mind has to settle down. And the mind will only settle down when the mind is in the present moment. It's not jumping around. So present moment is very important. So to gain control over the wandering mind, we have to self-discipline ourselves. And self-discipline is keeping the mind in the present moment. Now, we have taken the first step, that is taken the precepts, 5 precepts, those 10 days we'll observe it. And if we are able to gain control of the mind, we'll be able to keep the precepts for a lifetime. That is our aim, isn't it? Those 5 precepts, no killing, no sexual misconduct, no intoxication, no lies. So these are things that you would like to keep for a lifetime. And if you are, that's what we were told. Those of you who came for the introductory talk when the conference was inaugurated. The main stress was on what? Purifying the mind, gaining control of your 5 senses, and then to see that you do not do anything wrong and keep the 5 precepts. He called it Yam Niyam. I'm telling you the precepts. So this is the important thing. You keep the 5 precepts, and then to help you keep the 5 precepts, you need to have control on the mind. That is with Anapana meditation. And then you come to the third step, is the actual practice of Vipassana. Now in Vipassana, one now observes the whole body. This is of course with closed eyes. And as you move from your head to feet, you observe the sensations that are occurring on the body. Now then the mind is calmed and sharpened with Anapana. So this helps you to see things as they are and not as they appear to be. I'll explain that a little more. What happens whenever the mind reacts? two things happen at the physical level. Classical example, you're driving a car, you're at the level, you're at the road crossing, 4 roads, and all of a sudden your light goes green. And then somebody from the other side whose light is red crosses the road. What do? You kind of get angry, you start breathing heavily, and if you're in Delhi, you'll get out of the car and pull his tie and give him a whack or two. So different places people react in different ways. So this is what happens. The breath loses its normal rhythm, but at the subtler level, what is happening? At the subtler level, certain biochemical changes are occurring in our bodies, resulting in sensations. Now what happens is, when you get more angry, what happens? Have you noticed beyond the breath? You start sweating, your heartbeat starts beating. What happens? The muscles tighten up, and it's called the hair on end. Yeah, so all these things are an extreme sensation. We don't want to go to that level. Do we want to? We don't want to go to that level. So we are trying to see how these two changes can forewarn us. So what happens is, whenever you attend a lot of pravachans, you attend a lot of discourses by very wise men, or for that matter, you switch on to number of those channels that we have on TV, Asta and so on and so forth. The channels are mainly observe your anger, observe your fear, observe your passion. Can you do that? How many people can observe abstract anger, fear and passion? That's why all this teaching remains at the hearing level. It goes in from here and goes out from here. You have to learn how to observe all these things. And so with proper training and practice, you observe the changes that occur because of anger, fear and passion. That are changes in the respiration and sensations which occur because of these factors coming in you. So as soon as you start reacting to a situation, these two, the breath and sensations, are like private secretaries who inform you, look, something has gone wrong, and relax, don't shoot off. So this occurs very naturally, but with practice. It's not going to occur so easily. It requires a few years of practice. And then you start noticing when people tell you, oh, you've gone fairly calm now. And now that you meditate daily, you don't seem to be shooting off as you usually used to. It's mainly your family members who give you the feedback. You have quietened down. You don't lose your cool so often. You tend to accept situations occurring and be calm with them and let you carry on with the situation. So this is what is occurring when you start being aware of your respiration and you start being aware of the sensations. Thus, forewarned, we observe respiration and sensations till the unwanted reaction passes away. We don't suppress the reaction. If you are given some sort of word, mantra to say, you have suppressed the reaction. If you are given some sort of mala or some sort of image to bring in front of your eyes, you are suppressing the reaction. Here the reaction is occurring, but you are just aware of your breath and you are aware of the sensation, and so all that which is caused by that anger, which is caused by that passion, slowly waxes and wanes and goes away. Hence, this is a process of self-observation. We soon realize that we are all the while looking for the cause of our suffering outside. Because anything that occurs, it was caused because of this, it was caused because of that, it was caused because of that. But what is exactly happening? All those incidents are bringing about a change in the respiration and sensations in your body. You observe that and things calm down. So you don't react. So you notice that once you start meditating regularly, the same situation you don't react to which you would have reacted to before your days of meditation. So in reality, that is our blind reaction to all that happens. So you start observing yourself and you don't react to situations. So most wise men in their discourses tell you, know thyself. You must have heard this a number of times and you keep wondering what that means. Know thyself, know thyself. So you think it's some mantra. It's not. This is the way you know thyself. Know your respiration, know your sensation changes and observe yourself. So this direct experience of one's own reality, the technique of self-observation, is Vipassana. The art of observing things as they really are and not what they appear to be. Now on the 10th day, you're allowed to speak. And it's like a huge floodgate opening. People are just yak, 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 and they extrovert out after 9 days of quietness. So that day is given to you to what you call mix around and get ready now for the extroverted life that is outside. The retreat closes on the 11th day with a practice of special kind of meditation, where you have accumulated certain merits. 10 days you have lived with the precepts. 10 days you have not harmed anybody. 10 days you have looked inside and tried to clean up your act. So you seem to be a little more purified than before. So with that, you start feeling, oh my friend, oh my wife, oh my mother-in-law, I wish they all come and do the course. So then you say, okay, then you start giving them, a lot of good vibes. Please come and do the course, please have a good course. Or you start even telling, please behave properly and may you come out of your suffering. All that is just, it's a kind of loving kindness type of meditation that occurs on the last day. So you share the merits gained with all living beings. The course is conducted with the help of audio and video recordings. Our principal teacher, Sri S.N. Goenka ji, is no more. So we have all the teachings on the audio and video recordings. Students receive systematic meditation instructions on different times of the day. So when you go and sit in the hall, a session begins. For about 4 to 5 minutes, you have instructions coming in, and then you are left to yourself to meditate. That's how progressively over 10 days we take you through the course. At the end of the day, for about an hour, hour and a half, there's a discourse by Sri S.N. Goenka. He explains to you the daily progress. See, this meditation technique is totally scientific. It is non-sectarian and logical. This is what appeals to the younger generation. They do not want beliefs, blind beliefs. You tell them to do pujas, no. You tell them to believe because some God man told you to do, I will not do it. But this is non-sectarian. There is no religion in this. This is scientific. Everything that you do and what I have explained and on the 10-day course, if you find something which is not being reasoned, you are free to meet the teacher and leave the course. But 100% assured that at the end of the day, exactly that is what is explained. In the morning you would have some question churning in your mind. Ki why this, why is he making me do this? In the evening there's a scientific explanation for that. So you are left at the end of 10 days without any questions on a scientific basis. So you have perfect explanation and logical explanation to everything that is done in the course. The course is available literally in every language of the world, all the Indian languages in and abroad, right from what you call Russian to you have whatever language, Mexican, so on and so forth, every French, all European languages. The course is conducted in all these languages. Throughout the world, the courses are run solely on the basis of freely offered donations by old students. Now, there is no cost for a 10-day Vipassana course. We do not expect you to pay any charges for the course. As I have said, there are no fees charged for the course. They are priceless. You cannot put a price tag on a Vipassana course. But how does the place run? How do you have your food? How do you have your residential accommodation and all the arrangements? So old students means students who have done a 10-day course, they feel that I have gained so much from this course. Let me share. Some other people must do the course. And so they give donations. And all our 180 centers around the world for the last 50 years, not all of them are 150 years old, but over the last 50 years, not a single center has closed down because of lack of donations. But neither are these centers 5-star hotels. They are Spartan, simple centers with simple vegetarian food, and the food is just like any household food. We give breakfast, we give lunch, we don't give dinner. And the dinner part is not given not because we are trying to save money. The dinner part is not given because on an empty stomach, you are very fresh. Many of you must have experienced when you didn't have dinner, next morning, you are absolutely a prime. And we wake you up at 4 o'clock in the morning with a gong. So we expect the best meditation session is between 4:30 and 6:30. And you will at that time realize what that no dinner has done. So it's very important, and of course all doctors tell you, raat ka khana mat khao, don't have night food, it keeps you healthy, eat like a breakfast like a king, lunch like a commoner and dinner like a beggar. So don't have dinner, and it will help you. This is medically, by the way, there's no dinner on a Vipassana course. At 5 o'clock, we offer you tea and a small snack, but that small snack is not going to fill your tummy. Now, there are 180 Vipassana centers worldwide. About 1,500 10-day courses take place in these centers, and there are a few hundred courses that take place in what are called as non-center or called gypsies, like sometimes in schools, sometimes in dharamshalas, sometimes in even religious, monasteries, or we have courses there. These courses are where there are centers are far apart. All centers have the same rule, and there is no change in the 10-day course all over the world. So all those of you say, I want to do my course only in Igatpuri, please don't do that. See, it is the biggest center, 500 people are there with you, but rest of the places, most of our centers have about 100 students, 50 to 60 men, 40 to 50 ladies, segregated, and this is how a regular Vipassana center goes on. So this is, these are the basic 10-day course. Once you have done a 10-day course, you can do a 3-day course. You can do a 2-day course. You can do a 1-day course. You can do group sittings with friends. But we expect you to meditate twice a day at home, morning and evening. Now people will say, morning and evening, 1 hour a day, are you gone crazy? I don't have that sort of time. Now, why you don't have that sort of time is because you are not yet inclined to do so. If you start meditating, you'll realize that this meditation time is in fact like a rest period. You are sleeping for what? Giving rest to the body. Meditation is rest to the mind. So those 7 hours you were sleeping, 2 hours are in meditation. So you'll cut down your sleep guaranteed to about 5 hours and still be very, very fresh. So this is a definite truth. So you're not going to lose out on hours, working hours. Vipassana will help you, the meditation will help you. The other courses, as you progress on this path, you can do multiple courses. There are courses to understand the basic teachings of the Buddha, and there are long courses. Long courses are of 20 days, 30 days, 45 days, and 60 days, where people do the same thing for 60 days. So this is what the further progress is. Now, most important in this thing is there is no Gurudom. S.N. Goenkaji is a teacher. He is not a guru. Though in the Indian tradition we call him guru, but he is not a guru in that sense, the ones in inverted commas. He is not a guru. He does not preach. He is just transmitting the Buddha's teaching to you. And we who are now in that tradition, we are also helping transmit that. We are not adding anything. The Buddha's teaching was complete. There is no need to add anything in the last 2,500 years, and so there is no need to add now. So this teaching is just transmitted to you. So there is no guru. And you, throughout the 10 days, I challenge you to find out a single moment where you're told to do something. And without reasoning. Like, do you have places where the guru tells you, do this. He tells you in your ear, do this, and don't ask questions. In a Vipassana course, it's never like that. You will do exactly what you understand. Only do that. Suppose like if I tell you something about rebirth, you'll say, I don't believe in rebirth. Don't believe. The technique is the same. It's benefiting you whether you believe or not. Then you say, I'm not a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim. It will benefit you because everybody's mind is the same. We are only labels, Muslim, Hindu, Christians, but our mind is the same. We react the same way. So this technique is going to work for everybody. The technique is explained and it is left to an individual to practice. Practice is the most important thing and you achieve excellence. We have Vipassana courses in number of other venues, like we have them in jails. I too have been to jail to conduct courses, of course. And police academies, priests and nuns take courses regularly. And management trainees, many people in that 2-year MBA course have a 10-day Vipassana course. Some institutes have every year, so the students pass out having done 2 Vipassana courses. School teachers, we have courses for the blind, leprosy, central state government servants. Many government of Maharashtra gives 14 days leave once in 3 years to do a Vipassana course. And we have children's courses and teenagers courses. Now in the next part of our presentation, we will focus on this last, children's courses and teenagers courses, and how we are carrying this message of Vipassana and the benefits of Vipassana to children. So I'll hand over to Dr. Nirmala now for the second part of
So now we have heard how we deal with adults, how we deal with ourselves. But if we can start a little early, before we are formed into individuals which we need to correct, if we start at an earlier age, then we are better off. Like the yoga institutes are now really working hard to introduce yoga in the school. Like that, Vipassana has already been introduced in education so that children can start benefiting from the age of 8. So far, the education that has been imparted has focused on the intellectual, a lot of knowledge, book knowledge, and the ability to understand the world. Today, the children can get this on the click of a button. The other one is physical, to keep our body and body fit and strong. But how much have we addressed of the emotional quotient of a child? When a child is not emotionally sound, that is when he succumbs to pressures of life. We are finding a lot of suicides in children. We're finding them, they can't cope with their fast-paced life. And this is another dimension that has not been addressed, which is the spiritual dimension, which explains the phenomenon of man. Now, it's a holistic approach to education, and slowly and steadily, everyone is now understanding how IQ is not the only thing in life. There is something that is EQ and SQ, which are equally important. Now, let us see what's happening in the world. There's a lot of emphasis on religion that divides us. But we have to understand that religion, every religion has an inner and an outer core. The outer sheet is conditioned by historic, social and political climate. But the inner core is the same. The spiritual truths are the same. The universal laws are the same. If there is a fire, your hand is going to burn. If you touch ice, it's going to be cold, no matter you're a Hindu or a Muslim. These are the laws of nature which are eternal. We are not talking about values. Values is a thing that makes us go through life smoothly. If we don't have the right values in life, we are lost. But how can values be taught? Is it only by religious teaching? And even if we know them, it's so difficult to change the hard disk of a person. Like Einstein said, it is easier to denature plutonium than to denature the evil spirit of man. How true this is. If I'm an angry person, no matter how much I tell myself I've got to not lose my temper the next time, my hard disk is so programmed. Like doctor said, it takes time and your effort to change the hard disk. That's what happens through Vipassana. Now, we are governed by the materialistic attitude in society today. We want more, we are selfish, and so all human values like truthfulness, straightforwardness, friendliness, compassion, sharing, humility, forgiveness are all falling by the wayside. We don't have time for all these gentle things. So, because of the erosion of human values, they are the root cause of crime, violence, tension at all levels. International, societal, family, individual level, there is no peace. So we all have, to some measure, all these negative traits of being dishonest at times, of being deceitful, and all of being all those negative qualities. Now, how do we develop insight? Intellectually, we understand. But how do we deal with this? So, Vipassana offers a path for removing negativity and developing insight. Not only intellectually, you have to work and at the experiential level deal with these negativities. Let us understand what happens how the mind becomes impure. When there is any stimulus at the 5 senses, or if something arises in the mind, like Swamiji said, you see, you hear, you taste, you feel, and whatever arises in the mind, the 5 senses, our mind is programmed. Each one of our minds is programmed differently. And when there is a stimulus, the mind will evaluate. Each one of us evaluate differently. What does the mind evaluate? It's a sensation. If somebody praises me and I hear some very pleasant words, the sensation that flows through my body is very pleasant. So, I am reacting to the sensation. And what happens? There's a blind reaction. Oh, I want some more. Now, if somebody talks to me badly, there's a lot of aversion. And the blind reaction is that I develop more hatred, aversion in my mind, and I sort of strengthen that negative trait in my mind. Can we change our habit pattern to just bare observation? I heard this, but I didn't take it to heart. Somebody said this. It was my perception that I didn't like this. There's a pause button. There's a pause button to reflect. So we don't have an automatic reaction to whatever happens. So when you just observe that I heard this, I tasted this, or I felt this, along with that, the intellect understands that all this is impermanent. Next moment it changes. So on the basis of understanding the impermanence of everything, that is the basis of Vipassana. So in education, when a child learns self-control of impulses, because he learns to press the pause button, equanimity in the face of vicissitudes of life. This is for adults and children too, in the sense that there are always going to be ups and downs in life. But the amplitude with which we react, in a favorable situation, we are so delighted we hit the skies. But if it's a negative situation, we are really down in the depths of despair. But that is not the way to live a life. You've got to be more equanimous, a little more balanced. And a person learns to be honest, a proper self-appraisal. So I have to be honest with myself. I have these weaknesses and I've got to work towards them, to removing them. A person's creativity increases because the mind becomes very fresh. It's all these negativities that bind us down, bog us down, they slowly start getting removed from the depths of the mind. They're not just superficial suggestions. This whole process actually does a lot of cleansing at the deep-seated level of the mind, which is basically 90%. 10% of the mind is conscious that we feel we are in control of, but it's the 90% that is subconscious that is governing all our actions. So our concentration increases. There is, everything like Doctor said, inculcation of scientific temper. There's no blind belief. You're working, you realize, if I do this, this is going to happen. The cause and effect becomes very clear to us in our lives. So there is improvement in student-teacher relationship. There's better understanding of each one. What was Vipassana for education actually addressed the teachers and those children who have done Vipassana. But for children who are less than 18 or less than 15, we have Anapanasati courses. Anapan is the observation of the natural breath, coming in and going out. Sati means awareness. So, the children cannot just learn concentration, just watching their breath, unless their precepts are sound. If they are established in the 5 precepts, only then you have created good individuals. And a pickpocket also needs concentration. To steal, to murder, you require to concentrate your mind, but you've got to do positive actions with your mind. So the 5 precepts are very important. So once the children are taught Anapanasati, they practice for 10 minutes, morning and evening, and it starts producing lasting effects. So what are the benefits of Anapan? The children, the concentration in studies improves. They understand better. There is more awareness. Children have a lot of fears that they are unable to express. They are reduced. They perform better in sports and activities. They develop self-confidence. It is important that the child feel that he is empowered to look after himself. He doesn't have to rely on somebody else. And this confidence that a child develops from an early age is very helpful. You can see lots and lots of children are doing courses in the world today. This started in 1986, and now more than 1 lakh children have received Anapan 2013. These boys in their uniform, they are the hearing and speech impaired children. They also have, the blind children have. The picture down there is of children in madrasa. So it's a very non-sectarian technique. Please understand that there are children all over the world, not only in India, but they are, China is taking up in a very big way. US, Europe, Australia, the African continent, everywhere children have now started, they are being taught Anapan. Recently in 2012, the government of Maharashtra took a lead and they started a project known as the Mitra project. This is an acronym for Mind in Training for Right Awareness, MITRA, and it's a very ambitious program that they have launched. The target is 2.5 crore children. That's 25 million, okay? And facilitate 6 lakh school teachers to sit a Vipassana course. If you, to tell you the figures for July 2015, 47% of the population of India today is below the age of 25. So look at the figures we're looking at. Maharashtra is just looking at a small figure of 2.5 crore children. And we're trying to reach, it's a very big task. Already 12,000 teachers have taken Vipassana courses. 25 lakh children have received Anapan. This doesn't mean that 25 lakh children are doing it regularly because schools have their own priorities and they are not yet, all of them are not regularly enforcing morning and evening. In the morning, if some of the schools have a central audio system where they play the 10 minutes and it's relayed in the classes. So everybody is meditating at one time, or they have it in the morning prayer hours. And the evening, the last period is when the teacher finishes from the mobile, the teacher can play a 10 minutes Anapan. Now, most of these courses were just 70 minutes courses that were conducted to have this mass outreach. And though the teachers hadn't done courses, we found that the children, there was a lot of change. And those from the lower socioeconomic group also, they started behaving, they stopped stealing. And they would come back and report to the teacher any breakage of Shila. So, seeing the change in their behavior, their teachers have got inspired to sit the 10-day Vipassana course. That's a positive change that we have seen. Now Maharashtra has this government circular, and they are being told that you go and sit a course, they get a paid leave, the government pays for those expenses. But other states have started following. Gujarat has started in a big way, Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, West Bengal, and we are finding more and more reports coming in of Mitra project being implemented. So this is good news. Now we also have Vipassana courses for the young. Children above the age of 15 up to the age of 19 can sit a 7-day Vipassana course. Now these courses are so far being held only in India and in Myanmar and a few in Nepal. But otherwise the English ones are not yet available, but they will be available soon. So do see these websites, you'll get a lot of information. www.children.dhamma.org will give you a lot of information on Anapan courses all over the world. And the others are about Mitra. Thank you.
Most of our centers have online booking, but the online booking gets full on the day you have to apply. So 2 to 3 months in advance, all the centers have courses running full. So it's better to be aware when you can apply for a course and apply for it that at least 2-3 months in advance. So, and one thing remember, all centers have the same course, all have the same audio and video feedback. So no course at any particular center is better than the other. There may be a slight change in the facilities and of course in the climate. But the courses are the same, the teaching is the same, right from anywhere in Europe, Africa or India. So, any questions? We will be glad to. Yes, please.
Hello sir, my name is Ganesh Nadir. I'm a graduation student here in Kaivaladam. Sir, when you are saying about Vipassana, youngsters mostly like logical things and its scientific way. And at the time you compared puja with blind beliefs. How you can say puja as a blind belief?
First question most of these teenagers ask you, have you seen God? No, that's I'm just telling you. It starts like this. If you're a parent, you'll realize. If you're a parent, the first question is, have you seen God? Then why do you believe in Him? There are few things that we parents have been facing. You see,
Understanding.
I know that. We try. See, right from childhood,
It's an understanding.
Right from-
And we can't compare puja as a blind belief.
that's your...
Puja has particular scientific reasons. While we are
Fine.
firing a camper, it has aromatic therapy.
Okay.
Right? So how big you are comparing?
Fine. It's okay. It's okay. So you give it up only for the 10 days. At the end of 10 days, you recap what you learned and you're old. Yeah, I get it.
So you say that reciting a mantra can suppress your reactions?
Yeah, see, something has upset you, and then you start reciting a word, or you start seeing a particular image. So that problem is suppressed for some time. It doesn't keep hurting you all the while. So for some time. You understand? People say count 100 or drink some water. These are ways to control your temper. So you're just doing that. For some time, the problem is suppressed. But it again resurfaces. Again, you start thinking about it. So in this way, you're watching the problem. It's there. You're watching yourself get upset. And then it fades.
The first is, in the change of the behavior that you see from the students, I noticed that the last piece was cleanliness.
Yes.
And I'd like to know how you were able to document that, to collect data around that, and how that was observable.
Like I said, most of the schools that introduced this were the government schools, children from the lower socioeconomic status, and they're usually more difficult to manage, and facilities are primitive. So usually the schools are dirty, not kept very well, and the children would litter the place. And the teachers are also not up to the mark. So they found a perceptible change. So you don't have, they are documenting this now, but it's a general observation, and then you find positivity from the teacher's side. What's happening to the children? They would make a lot of racket while leaving the school, all shouting and screaming, and suddenly they're leaving the class quietly after those 10 minutes of Anapan meditation. Big change.
And then the second question, I noticed that you had said that there's an improvement in the relationship between the teacher and the student. And I'm wondering if you think the root of that is compassion, whether it's the compassion between the teacher and the student to the teacher, or the compassion, developing compassion for self that then relates to compassion to others.
Yes, actually there are a lot of material, and I've had to really cut it short. We are approaching the problem from both the sides. The teachers have to be good role models. That is why I said if they do Vipassana, that is half the battle won, because they are good role models. If they just teach the children Anapan or tell them to behave themselves like they've been doing for years, or just given up on that the children of today are difficult to manage, that is not the answer. So they themselves are getting fortified. When they do a Vipassana course, they are strengthened. And definitely there's more compassion. There's a lot of change. The change comes in the teacher first, and the children can sense that.
Two questions. One, you said the program for age 15 to 19, they have 7-day course.
Yes.
This is just observing the breath, which is a fantastic.
No, when we say Vipassana, it is both parts. Anapan followed by Vipassana, the sensations, yes.
So 15 to 19 years.
Yes.
My question is, why can't they do the normal 10 days course? How are you?
At 15, they are too young to be that introvert. Imagine for 10 days keeping silent, and it's too intense. And when we have the teenagers course, it's only for boys, only for girls. It's a very sensitive age. So it's never a mixed gender course, number one. Number two, 6 days of silence. But they are with children of their own age. They're not with adults, which is very overbearing for children when they're in adult company. So this is done in a slightly different way. The 7-day course has 2 discourses. They have dinner. So they have lunch, they have the breakfast, lunch, a snack around 4:30, and again a good dinner. They'll get noodles and things like that, you know. For India, it's different, that's how. So they are kept happy. So it's done in a very light way. But they also have to maintain noble silence.
I was just wondering, how did you come up with this understanding of actually 7 days and this age bracket and everything?
Goenka ji introduced this in 2005. So that was...
True that in children below 12 years, yeah, you know, the short practice, what you say, 10 minutes is more than enough because they're very sharp, quick to respond. Then, how did you...
You know, our children are maturing very fast. Even 10-year-olds are not the 10-year-olds that we saw 15 years ago. So they are being exposed to so much by the media, and it's a general change. So they can understand it, they grasp, and you won't believe that they are coming for the courses. Like it's very surprising, and you wonder what is happening in the world. A lot of negative things, a lot of positive things are happening. Those children have the seed in them. They've just come for guidance, and they take it and go. They do very well, and they come again, and they come again.
And the second question was that you're talking about that when you said about anger and other emotions arise, you just observe the breath, and that will be the best way. One other thing, out of my own experience I'm saying, doing it, is not only observing the breath, but deepening the breath. Wouldn't that, like I'm not using any other support, I'm using still the breath.
Yes.
Deepening will quicken
Yeah.
the process of purification and calming of the mind. So wouldn't that be a better idea?
The breath, the type of breath is connected to your mind. The breath is connected to the mind. So it reflects the state of the mind. So we are watching the natural breath because it is reflecting the state of the mind. We are not trying to change it. We are allowing it to pass by being observers. We are neither strengthening that phase that we have. Suppose you are fearful. I'm very scared. So I won't increase that fear by working on it in that way. I will just observe my breath and let it pass. It has to pass because nothing is permanent.
Observation would be the first part, which I agree with you, that you have to observe the breath as it is. It will definitely be changed according to fear or anger, which I myself have done the experience. But once you understand that this is not what you are and this is not right for you, then you can take a proactive action through the breath only again, and it's very scientific, to hasten the process of purification and elimination, and I'm not suppressing it.
You do a course and you'll go through so many experiences and then you tailor it to yourself because the experiences are so many and we keep changing all the time, continuously. So do a course.
In many villages, there is a very bad habit of drinking which is affecting them even when they cannot afford. Can something be done about it?
We have to address the drinking in even children who can afford. So it is not the affording that is the issue. They have to understand the harm that they are doing no matter where they are. So I agree that you're more concerned with the children who cannot afford and yet are drinking, but that thing applies to everybody.
See, what Vipassana teaches you is whatever craving, suppose you have craving for alcohol or you have craving even for food, as simple as that. It's actually a sensation coming in your body. And if you observe that sensation, slowly you realize even that craving for alcohol or that craving for food is a sensation. You watch the sensation and that craving goes down. It helps people diet, it helps people remain off alcohol, it helps people remain off drugs. So that's how we find that people give up alcohol after doing some courses because they start meditating regularly.
My comment is, we always say, our Rishi Muni said this, with respect I say Buddha said this, and then we say it is scientific. It means we don't want to change an iota of anything in it. How can these two paradoxes solve themselves or make us understand that one time we are saying that our Rishi Muni said this, and another time we are saying scientific, and then we don't want to change even a little thing. Of course, changes are coming. I am also a yoga student. I have read yoga. and I see that yoga is very scientific. But it has developing and becoming scientific. But we should never say that it is scientific, it is perfect, and nothing can be changed in it.
So what I meant was that in 2,500 years, the technique of meditation hasn't changed. And it has stood the test of time. You see, so many people nowadays claim that they teach meditation. But has it stood the test of time? This is the technique without dilution. We are teaching the same thing what the Buddha taught. And this is not changed from that time. Now there are many things that Rishi Munis and the Buddha postulated at that time. The Buddha postulated a particle smaller than the atom. He postulated that everything arises and passes. He postulated that there's a thing called cause and effect. Today, the scientists are finding out smaller and smaller. We, some years ago, thought the atom was the smallest bit. But today we know there are particles smaller than the atom. And we still haven't possibly discovered the atom, the smallest particle which the Buddha is talking about. So the Rishi Munis, through their meditation and through their experience, postulated certain things. Today we are doing it through the bubble chamber and through the microscopes and through our scientific methods. So they are coming up true. And the Buddha taught everything on cause and effect. Now cause and effect is something that is extremely logical to you. If this occurs, this will occur. If that doesn't occur, that will not occur. That's what I meant, that the entire teaching is scientific.
Sir, you are trying to say that Buddha designed this for the monasteries and his monks so that they can get enlightenment, and if we practice it, we will also get enlightenment. Yes, of course.
The Buddha, what we see of the monks, during the time of the Buddha, there were millions of householders who learned this technique. Cities like Shravasti, and right at the time of Ashoka, there were millions of people who meditated. Today we have given up on the art of meditation. We just want some quick fixes. That is the problem. So the Buddha's teachings were for householders as well as monks. Unfortunately, the monks are practicing it diligently. The householders are involved in their, as we say, they are floating in samsara and going about creating more problems.
Sir, when it is about a monk or when a renounced person, he decides himself to keep quiet or practice silence. So he has fixed mentally, then it's okay. When a normal person approaches you to reduce his stress or something, as a part of course to practice silence for 10 days, actually that is not our nature to keep silence for that time. Will it not be a stress or suppressing for himself? And what is the way that reduces the stress instead of giving stress by keeping silence?
See, I explained to you why basically we have silence. Without silence, you are not going to make the inner journey. You are all the while extroverted. See now, like if you leave this place, you will meet a few friends. If you are at home, you will switch on the TV or you will go to play something. So you are all the while extroverted. You want to now start looking inside. So to look inside, you have to cut off all this. I gave you that example. Like the first thing, if you can talk to somebody, you will ask him, what's going on? And that person will say, I'm having this experience. Then the next 2 days, you're wondering why I'm not having that experience. So your craving starts from there. Why I'm not having, why I'm not. So we do not want you to converse. Now we, in the 10-day course, are trying to give you the experience of a monk. You understand? Why does a monk look so peaceful? Why is a monk so peaceful? Would you not like to experience that? Yes, somebody is creating an atmosphere for you for 10 days, exactly like that. We are cutting off phone calls, we are cutting off people coming and giving you inputs, we are stopping newspapers, we are stopping. So you are to yourself, you're taking that inner journey. And let me tell you, those people who say that I cannot keep quiet for 5 minutes, when they finish the 10-day course, on the 10th day when people start talking, they get a headache. And they say, whoa, how much we talk, without realizing how much you talked before the start of the course. The thing is that the silence is one of the most beautiful parts of the course. The silence. It gives you peace, guaranteed. So experience it. Only when you experience it, you realize it is a very integral part of the course and it gels. Any person really enjoys the silence. Some pamphlets have been kept with some of our old students behind, and they will give you, one is the introduction to Vipassana, one is the code of conduct, which is so important in our courses, and a small card with our website. It's in Hindi as well as in English. Please, on your way out, please collect your copies. Thank you so much for giving us a patient hearing.